So welcome everybody, I'm Donna, I'm the owner of Riverside Beads, and this is one of our weekly tutorials, and this is our gorgeous new birthday cupcake. So there's all the materials that you need, quite a lot of elements to this one. You've got quite a few head pins, you've got your gold and silver mixing your metals, which is very on trend at the moment. So I'm going to show you how to construct it and how it all works. So these are our findings. We do silver and gold plated. We also do brass, antique silver, rose gold, a gunmetal and a copper as well. So we have an amazing range of findings when you're looking for all your different things. We aim to stock every size and shape and that you could imagine and things. So where we've got things like head pins, these are a flat end head pins, and then these ones are a ball end head pins. We do them in different sizes, different lengths. We can always guide you if you come and visit us in our shop, but online as well we've listed all the different ones that you would need. So if you know what you're looking for, then we've got all those different elements. We're a UK bead shop, so we have our findings tested to UK guidelines, so they're all nickel and lead free. So you know that you're shopping with confidence when you come to Riverside. So I'm going to show you how to make these cupcake earrings. I've got my 4 pairs of pliers to hand on the sidelines here. That's my round nose, my cutting. Definitely going to need those two, so we'll start with those and see what other ones we need as we go. Taking my head pin, and I am popping, I've got 2 different little bead caps here. One's a flowery shaped one and the other's a round one, so I'm popping that one on there. These are all bead caps, although we're using them in lots of different ways today. They're going to be cupcake cases, so that's the case there. And then I'm popping another bead cap on the top there. So then they all just knit into one another. Once they've got everything on top of each other, that will sit a little bit firmer and you'll be able to build it up that way. So it will all go in together. Then we pop this lovely little glass bead. So it's a gorgeous two-tone with a nice iridescent coating on the outside of that as well. And that's sat nicely into that one, and we'll just need to readjust that one, and that's on there. If you need to just give it a little push down, please do, and that will just expand that bead cap a fraction just to fit that neatly in there. We've then got a final bead cap. So we're starting to get ourselves our cute little birthday cupcakes ready to celebrate birthdays. So then we've got another bead cap, which is our flower bead cap there. Tiny little petal one. Now these are really good for just expanding the base of your head pins to make them a little larger. But they also look really cute and decorative. And then a little cherry. What cake isn't complete with that little cherry on the top as well? So that is our cupcake earrings. Now I'm going to show you a head pin loop. So we're going to cut it to around 1 centimetre above the top of that bead. Point it into your mat when you do so, and that will just ping into there. Bend this at a 90-degree angle. And then we've got that there. Round nose pliers to the end of the pin. And roll. Roll that round, drop it back into there. And I'm just finishing that loop off there. And then you've got yourself a gorgeous little cupcake earring there. Well, you've got the first part of it. Next is to construct that into the next part of the earring. So next we've got our chain. And now we're going to need, I'll just pop those to one side from the other earring. We're going to need our chain, and we're going to need our flat nose pliers for this. So that's ready for the second earring, all those bits and bobs. Our chain, and we half this little piece of chain, or as many links as you need. On the instructions I think I put 6, 4, 5, 6. So you actually won't need all of it if you do just 6. And each link of chain opens, so it's only really tiny. There is a little opening in that. It's just finding which side of the chain it is. What we're going to do then is flip open the ear wire. And hook on. You may need to do it with your pliers, just for grip to see where you need to be and flip that closed. So now we should have ourselves an ear wire with the chain coming off of it there. So that's the first bit of that. Now what we're going to do is turn these little bugle beads into sprinkles on top of our cupcake. So onto the ball end head pin, which gives you that lovely little finish there. So we're going to cut it again about 1 centimetre above the top of that bead. I normally point it right down in the mat, but I was going to lose the focus on the camera if I did. Bend that at a 90-degree angle. Sometimes I do what I've done there, bend it slightly with the pliers and then push it over with my finger. Now it'd be really important if you do that not to stab into the end there. Round those pliers to the end of the pin, and we're going to roll that on there, so we create ourselves a few of these. Bending that at the 90 degrees. End of the pliers to end of the pin and roll in a couple of turns just to get that to close. If it's slightly over to the side like that one is, it might not close properly. Just give it a little pinch back into the centre and then reform it round. There we go. Okay, last bit is going to be, I would need one more of those, and then it's going to be a case of adding those onto the chain. So what I do to do this is take the pliers, flip it open like so, so you're not distorting the shape of your head pin and you're not distorting having to try and open them chains, because I did have a bit of trouble opening that one. And then we pop that through the chain and flatten those pliers and flip it closed. So you've only very slightly opened that up, and that will start to add those little sprinkles onto the chain there. So this one hasn't got sprinkles on it. This was one of the other ones that we were doing, but the sprinkles look super cute if they're all attached. So flatten those pliers again, find the side that opens. You can see we're going to have that teardrop, that drop effect, that staggered effect there. Now the final bit, once we've got the third one of those done as well, is adding the cupcake charm onto the bottom there. So you can do this with a little jump ring, or you can flip that open. So the jump rings are included in the kit. They're quite a delicate one, so it just sort of sits there as part of the design without looking too much. So just enough to hook that on, and then finding that bottom chain and hooking through there as well. So there are step-by-step instructions in all of our kits, but that shows that quite nicely with that chain there dangling off there. You put the other one on, and then that's the last one with that hanging off of it. So along with this, if you decide to go for the little kit, they're only £3.50 for a set of earrings at the moment, just to launch for our 23rd birthday celebrations. And I feel I want to complete this, because then we can see what it looks like with all of its sprinkles on. And that is your gorgeous cupcake sprinkle earrings. So if you fancy something a little smaller, you can leave your sprinkles off. And that's done with the silver base as well, so slightly different design. Bit of variation, so you can take the design and bespoke it to make your own, but they're quite lightweight. Even though they're a longer earring, this is all quite lightweight. Although it's glass beads and things, they're only small, so they fit rather nicely. Thank you so much to everyone that's been watching. Next week we've got our live auction on the Wednesday, so we look forward to seeing you for that. The week after I've got a gorgeous forget-me-not demonstration, so going to need a bit more room on my screen for that one. So hopefully my setup will be working and playing nicely next week. Or the week after, sorry, on the 21st. Look forward to seeing you all for the live next week. Have a good week, everyone. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.